Hi everybody, welcome back. We are starting a new unit, Unit 3. This does not necessarily apply to Maryland, so if you're not in Maryland, don't think you don't need this. This applies to any state in the United States. It's not specific to Maryland. If it is specific to Maryland, I'll let you know. So any state can use this, and if you need help with any zoning, this video and these lessons will help you. So these are all the 7 lessons that we're going to go over here. There's a lot of zoning stuff. I don't know how many questions on the test will have a zoning. I only remember maybe 1 zoning questions. But it's good to know. So if you are confused, the next 7 or 8 videos should help you. We also have some flashcards in this unit too. Alright, ever wonder what is meant by zoning? You'll find out in this unit. We also introduced several zoning classifications, the buffer zone, and talk about one important reason that zoning matters. And the State Real Estate Commission's regulation require disclosure of zoning classifications for certain property types within the agreement of the sale. I guess that's why it's important as a realtor to know the zoning classifications, because you're going to be putting this, you're going to be writing this up when you do your sales, when you do your presentations and you're writing up your legal documents. You will have to put a zoning classification in there. So that's why we are studying this stuff, okay? Bulk zoning, aesthetic zoning, down zoning, incentive zoning. How do we know if zoning ordinances are available? Listen to me. Valid. And what does the sunshine law have to do with any of this? All right, so that's what we're going to learn in this next 8 lessons. In the zone. All right, let's continue with Joe as he presents these different types of zoning. The residential zone, okay? This is a single family or multifamily. Let's stick with single family for a minute. If you wanted to create a mother-in-law suite inside of a single family home, this would be known as an accessory apartment. And this accessory use is one that subordinates the main use of a property. An equipment shed on a property is also an example of accessory use, but I wouldn't put your mother-in-law in that kind of a shed. Another use in the single family home would be home occupation, like where you got to work at home. The residents of the dwelling can conduct business there, and you can't have your Avon lady working out of the home unless she happens to be your live-in girlfriend or wife. Again, the business purpose must be secondary to the use of the dwelling. It cannot change the character of the dwelling in any way. Jerry raised his hand and Joe mentioned for him to go ahead. What about group homes? Well, group homes are residential facilities for unrelated individuals with physical, mental, or behavioral disabilities. There is no single legal definition of a group home. Group homes can also include adult foster homes, residential rehabilitation centers. So often the residents don't like the idea of a group home in their neighborhood and try to take steps to prevent them. Some residents take umbrage with group homes, saying that a single-family residence means a single-family residence, and we don't need to throw a bunch of adults into the residence. But generally speaking, the courts have favored the rights of group homes. In a nearby town, okay, never mind. The ordinance, okay, generally speaking, the courts have favored the rights of group homes. For instance, 1,000-foot spacing requirement for and between group homes in a nearby town would be a violation of the Fair Housing Act. Okay, and the town was ordered to make a reasonable accommodation on its limitation for the number of unrelated persons to constitute a family in the zoning ordinance. Use that subordinates. Okay, let's go over here and take this test. Use that subordinates to the main use of a single-family home, such as a mother-in-law suite, is an accessory. Use the business purpose that's secondary to the home dwelling. I'm guessing a residential facility for unrelated adults who have physical, mental, or behavioral disabilities. And you can understand why they might not want these type of people in their community running around, right? Because for one, it can make the value of your community go down, or your home. All right, if you're trying to take a screenshot of these questions so you can go back and study, and let's say you're standing in line at the supermarket, pretending like you're got something important to do, you can actually be studying. Take these pictures on your phone and check them out. All right, the more you look at it, the more you write things down, and the more you hear it, you're going to start remembering. Okay, other types of zoning classifications. All right, what's the zone? Other zones include commercial, which encompass retail, restaurants, hotels, service businesses, doctor's office, other business types. It can also include industrial, which may be light or heavy manufacturing and warehouses. Vacant land is another zone, which obviously means there's no buildings, it's unimproved, and it was never built up. The agricultural zone is used for raising and grazing animals, growing crops, and you might be interested to know that a property in just about any zone can be put to agricultural use. Land zoned as public open space isn't developed. Both private individuals and the government can own open space. It could be agricultural land, forests, undeveloped shorelines, parks, lakes. Open space can be as small as a pathway between public areas or a vacant lot in a large area. Parklands are often another zoning classifications and are often recreational, administrated, and controlled by state and local governments. Recreational areas are another one, which are parks, shorelines, fishing areas, trails. Institutional areas are such as the hospitals, jails, prisons, courthouses, college campuses. It's impossible for institutional use to be permitted in a residential or commercial zone, depending on the zoning ordinance. Now, obviously, you're not going to want to see an industrial zone right smack up against a kid's playground. So there's something called a buffer zone, which is land set aside to act as a separation between two conflicting zones. And you're going to want to know about zoning for all kinds of reasons because it helps determine the value and use of a property. If you need to screenshot all this, you can, to help you remember the difference in all these zonings. You can also contact me on my website and be specific as to what resource you want. What's the zone, other zoning classifications would be the name of this resource. Our areas designated for raising and grazing animals would be agricultural. Undeveloped land that can be as small as a pathway, which I think was public open space, right? Let me see. Which one did we say can be used as a pathway? There's so many on here, it's crazy. Maybe parklands? Oh, no, public open space. Okay. Open space. All right, commonly public recreation areas, parks, shorelines, public recreation, or parklands. Parks, shorelines, these are recreational areas. And the areas for hospitals, jails, and prisons are for institutional. And of course, there's nothing built on it. It's actually vacant. Okay, so some of these are common sense, right? Okay. If you need to take a screenshot, I'm going to go through here kind of slow so you can do that now, or you can just go back and rewatch the video again. Okay, that's the end of lesson 1 in the zone. The next thing we're going to cover is incentive zoning. No idea what that is, but we're going to find out on the next lesson. So if you want to come back, this is what you're going to look for in the title. And I will see you all in the next video.